Hey everybody! Welcome back to another episode of Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers, but we're actually in the post-game now. We finished it last time. And yeah, took a couple days off and I'm back now, because I finished catching up the other character. It does go by amazingly fast when you skip cutscenes, but even then, not so fast. It still took me 2 days. It's 2 days of basically speedrunning it. Anyway, let's put that up. Because, I gotta talk for a minute to explain the fact that I fucked up! Last stream, I tried to do a little too much post-game in the same stream that we finished the game. Not enough research, and I thought I had my shit... Excuse me, goddamn. I thought I had my shit, figured out for that small side quest we did at the end. Turns out I was dead wrong. So basically what happened is, I ended up doing a side quest out of order, which thankfully was a very minor side quest line. This wasn't a major thing, like it didn't have any spoilers, but it was meant to be done after 5.1. If you're wondering which one I'm talking about, it's the One Final Journey one. Here, let me just show you. This one. One Final Journey. And this is why I got it wrong. I did it, it's supposed to be after 5.1, but this faulty ass guide that someone sent me says it becomes available after 5.0. But I thought while we were doing it, the dialogue was a little off. I was like, the dialogue seems like as if we already talked to Flamin during MSQ, and we really hadn't. And yeah, I did some research and found a secondary source that says patch 5.1, required quest, vows of virtue, deeds of cruelty, which is the end of 5.1. Also referenced here. I won't move because there's, you know, it's a mess. But yeah, this is the end of 5.1. That's when you're supposed to do this. I was like, what the fuck? But this guide right here, which I was trusting, says the end of 5.0 is when you do that shit. So again, not a humongous deal, because that very, very short little side quest line that we did using New Game Plus really doesn't contain a lot of spoilers, other than the fact that we obviously told Flamin what happened to Minfilia. No shit. It's like what we were not going to tell her. But yeah, obviously the 5.1 patches has a scene somewhere where we actually tell her, and then that's when that side quest line becomes available. So obviously, you know, too little too late for the stream, but to keep my YouTube videos more coherent and actually keep the timeline a little bit better, it's not perfect, but I'm trying to keep this YouTube series, at least the YouTube playlist, a little bit more coherent. What I'm just going to do as an easy fix for this is I'll just go ahead and, it's going to be janky as fuck, but basically I'm going to, let me switch back to this now. Staring at my own Streamlabs OBS there. Fucking video inception. But, what I was gonna do, what I'm gonna do is basically, when we get there, we'll just be taking a 30-minute recess. When we get to the end of 5.1, I'll just go ahead and pull up the same... Oh, shit. I'll pull up the same clip, what was it, like 15-20 minutes, maybe? Of that little quest line? And I'll basically play it on stream to put it in the same video as once we finish 5.1. But that won't even be anytime soon, because we're not... Well, maybe it will be. It depends on how today goes. I am starting pretty early. 5.1 is, we might not even get to it today. It depends on queue times, because right now we got 2 bonus dungeons to do, and then after that, we have to do, we gotta get into the normal raids. And we're gonna do at least the first 2 parts of that, because the third part doesn't unlock until you finish 5.3 MSQ, and you'll see why. But it's because it's closely tied and related to MSQ, so... Because of that, yeah. We'll hopefully get through the first 2 tiers of the raids, and then we'll start on 5.1, and if we finish it, well then I'll go ahead and do what I just said. I'll put, you know, I'll find my stream from a couple days ago or whatever. Oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. Damn dry skin on my hand. I'm bleeding! No, not really. I thought I did. Anyway. So yeah, I'll just put the video there. I'll just latch the video on there, and I'll use that time to take a break to get up and walk around, because I'm sure if we do get around to that today, it's going to be like, it's probably 6 hours from now. We got a lot of other shit to do ahead of time, so that's it for that. That's the only thing I wanted to announce and talk about right at the beginning of this stream. Now we can go ahead and just get right back into it. So we're going to start with the 2 bonus dungeons, which you might have already seen in that screenshot I showed. The Twinning and Academia Uniter. Oh wait, no. I thought I was getting ahead of myself. There was actually something else. When I was finishing catching up, I was doing the Ether Current quest, right? Now, in my blind playthrough of Shadowbringers, I obviously did these on stream, then and there, in real time. In New Game Plus mode, you can't redo those. They're side quests. They're not part of the main scenario quest, technically, so you can't do them. But I recorded them because I felt like they give really good backstory and lore to the last place we were in the Tempest. The big-ass... The City of the Ancients, there we go. Couldn't find the damn name. So I went ahead and recorded them, and I'm going to show those, actually, because there was stuff I wanted to commentate on. But I couldn't, obviously, during New Game Plus mode because, couldn't do those quests. So I recorded them on the other version of this character, of my main character, and I'm going to go ahead and play those first. Then we'll get into the bonus dungeons, so that's the agenda for now. Again, there's another reason why we're probably not going to get to everything that I just said in one stream, but that's fine. I'm just laying out the roadmap. So, yeah, let me pull it up real quick. Let me find the right videos. Let's see. Oh, I can leave... No, that'll blast us in the face. I'll leave it there. Hit home. Media gallery. Sort by video clips. That one... Wait, what does these do? That's not relevant. That's gonna be that one, and that one. There's 3 videos, because there was 3 Ether Current quests. So we'll start with this one, the first one. Okay. Let's start with this dude. Patronizing a Maritime. Hold on. Yeah. Damn allergies. Anyway, okay, I'm good. I'm not gonna sneeze. And turn down my speaker volume. Avoid... Shit, that's working? Okay. Just to avoid, echo and all that. Alright, let's get on with it. Community cohesion. The patronizing and Maritime is struggling to conceal their disapproval of your attire. I saw this, I was like, what the... I was literally like, what? What the fuck? Hating on my style. My glam, man. What the fuck? I must say, little one, those garments you're wearing, they are your own original concepts, I take it? Clearly they must be, given their rather singular flamboyance. I would never dream of stifling a fledgling creator's creativity, but to parade about in your cultivated individuality is hardly praiseworthy. How's it go, kid? The Maritime of character shares their creations with the community. They do not hoard them for their use alone. To delight in disparity is a mark of the morally deficient. Hold on a second, I realized when we're watching clips, this is hella quiet there. Disparity engenders feelings of want and resentment which degrade the bonds of fellowship, this is true. Thus do we encourage creators to share and share alike, else we risk kindling the embers of covetousness and violence that ever smolder in the hearts of all. This is true. Therefore I must implore you, little one, to cast aside your original trappings and don the communal robes, so that you might acquit yourself as an equal among many. In so doing, you will be afforded greater respect and autonomy. Okay, we won't be shamed into oblivion? Worry not, for this will be a simple affair. I recall seeing a gentle soul outside the Hall of Rhetoric carrying robes perfectly suited for one of your diminutive stature. I am sure they will be glad to share their wealth with you. But do hurry, little one. The eyes of the collective are ever watching and weighing your worth. So yeah, he brings up some interesting points. Like everything he said is absolutely true. Like, when he used some big-ass words to describe it. But yeah, like, you can sometimes end up creating, like, hyper-individualism will create, like, that kind of, basically envy, resentment, and or, covetousness, like he said. But at the same time, everything in excess is a bad thing. Obviously, hyper-individuality is not a good thing, which they're making a point of talking about right there. But at the same time, making something, creating a culture that's so hyper-collective that, you stifle creativity and personal self-expression is obviously not a good thing either. Let's see how this plays out, though. Oh ho! Aren't we looking rather smart this day? What can I do for you, little one? Again, praising the clothes. You like my drip? At least you're not hating on it like that other guy. Robes to serve in lieu of your ensemble? Ah, how prudent. Alas, I have nothing I can offer you at this present time. For the most part, I think I kept the text boxes up at a reasonable pace while I was recording this, because I knew I was going to be reading it out loud later. The ones your associate saw me carrying earlier were a failed experiment. I never intended to make them so small, so I disposed of them shortly thereafter. A failed experiment? Just talking about Willis. By your confused expression, I gather you find it odd that your elders can fail in so simple an application of creation magics? Sure. We'll go with that. It is more common than you may realize, little one. In this instance, a gaggle of children was passing by as I held the image of the robes in my mind's eye. Simply by becoming aware of their presence was the form influenced, and the final product changed. This sounds a lot like what happened to Gabu, the way he ended up summoning Titan unintentionally and by accident with a very different personality when he saw his parents die before his eyes. Or rather, he found their dead bodies and then reacted to it. And in his rage, accidentally summoned Titan, but it wasn't the Titan we knew. Like, he looked the same, but his personality was like Gabu's, which was just desperately pleading for his parents, rather than saying all the things he said the first time we fought Titan back in Realm Reborn, which was, you know, protecting my charge or whatever, the kobolds. That's exactly what this guy's describing. Like, you're focusing on summoning something, their creation magic as they call it. If something distracts you or comes into view at that time, it could end up altering the form of whatever you were trying to summon or create, basically. All things considered, here we go, it could have been worse. Just the other day, I was attempting to conceive a white-haired lion, when all of a sudden this exquisite eagle alighted on the nearby railing, giving me quite the shock, and dramatically altering my initial concept. I think we know how that turned out. So he was see, Leon reckoned, he's like, wait, a white-haired lion, and then an eagle altered its form when you were making it? We had a close encounter with a eagle-winged lion, did we not? It was a sin eater. Not only a sin eater, though, you have to remember in the source, in Heaven's Word, this was, in Heaven's Word we got Amdapor Keep Hard, and there was a statue that looked exactly like that sin eater, or rather that sin eater looks exactly like that statue. A big-ass white lion with eagle wings on it, on its back. But now we know where it came from. This guy made it. Fucking billions of years ago, or however long ago it was before the sundering of the world. Yes, indeed, it was a most unexpected development, but not an altogether unwelcome one. Great strides are often born from unexpected impetuses. So they're obviously implying at this point that everything we've come to know, animals, monsters, creatures, whatever, were probably, at one point, just creations that these guys made, like summons, to put it simply. And they just kind of became part of our ecosystem at some point as natural living beings rather than primal-like entities, which is odd and interesting. There's obviously some missing information here that they're probably deliberately withholding from us. Some secrets that they don't want to let out just yet about how all of this works, but moving on. But even inspiration has its limits. For all the wonders we have wrought, I do wonder if there will come a time when we have fully explored the potential of our powers, when there is truly nothing left unmade, and only iteration and imitation and stagnation remain. But such esoteric matters need not concern you, little one. I don't know. Can we ever reach a limit to our creativity? That is an interesting philosophical question to explore right there. Will we ever reach a point where we just can't come up with anything new and original anymore? It's an interesting question because, half our shit isn't original already anyway. We're just kind of building upon ideas of our ancestors, our parents, grandparents to begin with when we make something new, quote unquote. Most of the time that's what we're doing anyway. There's nothing that I know that's truly 100% original, no. Anyway, that's a debate for another time. Or not a debate, but discussion for another time. For now, I would encourage you to embrace your creativity and work your magics without fear of failure. Thank you. Nevertheless, it would still be in your best interest to don the appropriate robes to avoid excess scrutiny. Like the other guy said, why don't you go to the Bureau of the Architect and request the appropriate concept so you can fashion one yourself? Okay. Just checking for currents. Forgot I'd already gotten all of them. Alright, fuck it. Let's skip travel time. Place is fucking huge. Welcome to the Bureau of the Architect, little one. Are you here to request a concept for personal use? If so, what sort of concept did you have in mind? Damn it. Ah, communal robes. That will take but a moment to prepare, but before I fill your request, I should caution you. Pardon me for asking, but your creative potential is, relatively low, is it not? We are trained to assess these things, and I fear that you do not possess the ability to express this concept in physical form. Almost as though you completely lack it, though that can't possibly be. Okay, I don't have the power to, summon anything. I'm too weak in this sundered form. I need a bunch of crystals if I want to do that. Filled with ether. But regardless of the reason, you needn't worry. We have special tools that may be used to address this very eventuality. I will furnish you with an etheric rope you can use to restrain one of the misbegotten cubuses that congregate in the plaza north of the Academia United. You will need to weaken your quarry before you can reliably bind them, but once you have, you can repurpose their energy to create your own robes. Yeah, see, this is good lore on Amarok and its people. Amitself's people, the Asian's people, basically, before they were sundered. One such mystery I pondered was I was redoing this, which was just this morning, by the way, when I finished the game again. Off stream or whatever on the alternate version. Something I was pondering was, they said that they got wind of, you know, the Star Scourge, or whatever the hell they call it. I'll be mixing up with FF7 Remake now. Whatever the hell they call it, that disease that was, like, wrecking everybody and causing creation magics to go crazy, and causing the end of the world, yada yada, so they ended up having to summon Zodiark. They said, they didn't say specifically it started somewhere else, but they mentioned the fact that they knew well ahead of time that it was affecting their neighbors across the pond. I think they talk about it in the side quest too. Yeah, they talk about it later, so I'll talk a little bit more about it later. But basically, I'm just kind of wondering, you know, that's how they had the heads up to start working on how to solve this problem, because they knew it was going to come their way eventually. This disease that was affecting the entire planet, and causing chaos and the end of the world, and yada yada. How far ahead of time did they know? And why? Why did they know ahead of time? Where did it start, and why did it start somewhere else, you know? Those are kind of mysteries I'm still wondering. It's like, what the hell caused it? The Asians have yet to tell us anything of that. They told us about what's happening, but they haven't said where it came from. Oh, is that a quote from Emmett Selk or something, Crimson? It sounds like you quoted something they said that maybe it just flew over my head in a moment. Leo? Why did you say Leo? Oh! I paused it too early. I was like, Leo? Who's Leo? But yeah, it's just something I'm wondering out loud. Obviously I don't want any spoilers. It's just conjecture. I'm just kind of like, well, why did it start somewhere else and then gradually it made its way to Amarok? Where did it start? Why? And what caused it? If they lived like this for so long, why did this suddenly happen out of nowhere? Leon Starcrest, please wait near the counter while I confirm your details. Alright. Alright, this is, that's why I was skipping it. This is MSQ that we already did. I was getting it out of the way because it was in the neighborhood, on the way to the next side quest. So I'm gonna just go ahead and skip the MSQ stuff. This is part of the side quest, of course. I accidentally killed this guy. I forgot to use a rope. I captured this one though. There we go. I think here I'm just gonna skip around because obviously I did some, I didn't want to have to travel back, so I did some MSQ, skipping the dialogue and the scenes or whatever. Because we already did this on stream. I'm just gonna skip ahead to when I got to the side quest marker. Here it is. Hey, I got the thing. Welcome back, little one. Did you succeed in binding a cubus? Yeah. As one might expect, the creature is rather less than pleased to have been bound and shoved in your pack. Probably squirming around there. Let me out! You've done well, little one. Allow me to siphon its energies and prepare the matrix for you. It should only take a moment. Here you are, a creation matrix that you may use to generate your own robes. The concept is inscribed upon the crystal, which has been infused with the ether of the beast you brought me. One tiny crystal? What? Why are you looking at me as though you do not know how to channel the powers of creation? It is as natural as breathing. Even a newborn babe has the instinct. Even if your potential is lacking as one of our people, you must surely know what to do. Well, I guess I'll just take the crystal. Oh, it's you, little one. Come to the Bureau of the Architect to track down yet another concept, have we? If you come back and talk to him after the quest. As you like, but I do worry that you will struggle to utilize even the simplest of our concepts, considering your rather limited creative potential. I like how they can already tell. It's almost like they have X-ray vision to a certain degree. They can already tell what you're capable of and what you're not, like your attributes, just by looking at you. Everybody's basically Superman. In a way, they can just kind of analyze what you're made of. Yeah, that's such an interesting thing, though. A disease that makes you lose control of your creation magics, your summoning powers, and makes you start unwillingly summoning the things you fear most, which results in the abominations that we saw in Amroth, the actual dungeon. And then they start killing you and your people. I'm very curious as to where all this started and how it happened. Responsible creation. Alright, before we go into the next one, let me finish up the point about that first quest. So yeah, how it all started. Remember that guy told us, you know, you're being hyper-individualistic. It's like, and I was like, yeah, you need balance in everything, though. And this is true. Ideally, yeah, you would want people to flourish with their creativity. You would want them to, you know, be able to create custom things as they please, if that's what they want, yada yada. But at the same time, the counterbalance. So, in today's culture, we have hyper-individualism. You know, us in real life. At least in America. I can't speak for other countries. And so, what he said was basically like shaming you into being too individualistic and instead, you know, putting on the same clothes that they all wear, so that you don't, you know, cause all those things he said, like as I said earlier, covetousness, you know, envy, all that stuff. And it's like, everything he said was true. It leads to that when you have hyper-individualism. But as I said earlier, when you have hyper-collectivism to the point where you're like, you know, you have a culture that forces people to all wear the same thing, like it's too far in the other direction, right? We need some kind of balance. Ideally, what you would have is people would allow themselves to express themselves however they want, both in the way they act as well as their clothing, right? But it starts to become a problem when you have someone who, well, basically, it becomes a problem when you start developing narcissism in the culture, right? When you have someone that's like, you ask them, hey, you know, those are some pretty cool clothes. Where'd you get those, or how'd you make them, or you know, like, I kind of want to, you know, I like that concept. Do you mind sharing it with me, or how to make it, you know? And then you would naturally be like, oh yeah, sure, here, check this out. And then that person can be like, can probably build on that and make something different based off your design, you know, aka inspiration. And that would be fine. But the problem comes when you get someone who's like, no, this is my design, I want to own it, like intellectual property is what I'm getting at here. That's one aspect of this. And it's like, I'm not sharing it with anybody. And that becomes a slippery, you know, tolerating that becomes a slippery slope into, of course there's nuance to this and there's lots of other societal and cultural dynamics, but it leads to what we have now where, you know, like, some rich douchebag will debut, like, a fucking Lamborghini or some supercar, and people are, you know, praising him and all this other stuff instead of, you know, taking into account how wasteful something like that is in terms of resources, how wasteful and harmful for the environment something like that can be. This is just one abstract example, right? It's like, instead, when you look at the problems we face and how that's all kind of slowly, gradually compounding into it, it's like we should be collectively shaming that person in the same way that that person was shaming us for having the clothing, right? But again, balance in everything, ideally. Rather than trying to get everybody to wear the same exact fucking robes or something, you just nip it in the bud whenever somebody starts getting carried away with thinking that they're the king of everything because they designed some unique clothes and refuse to share with anybody, or they own something nobody else has. You know, it's leaning too far in one direction or the other is obviously a bad thing, and it's easy to find examples of the hyper-individualism because that's what we have in real life, in America at least. Hyper-collectivism, I wouldn't know anywhere that has that in real life, but this is an abstract example of that, basically, of it going too far in the other direction. But again, it's not without it's not without merit. They're trying to prevent what I just described, hyper-individualism. They're trying to nip it in the bud, so to speak, but it almost feels like they overcorrect. Anyway, moving on to the next thing about their little society: responsible creation. The bureau attendant seems to be regarding you like a lost young child. Greetings and welcome to the Bureau of the Architect. Are you in need of assistance? It would be my pleasure to answer any questions you might have. To your left is a counter where you may submit registrations for new creations. To your right you will find the counter where you may requisition concepts on file. Am I correct in assuming you're not familiar with the services we provide? I see. A more detailed explanation is in order then. You understand that by harnessing the powers of creation we can give physical form to all manner of concepts, yes? Picture a bouquet of fresh, fragrant flowers, all the colors of a rainbow. Now picture those self-same flowers formed of delicate crystal, impossibly fragile and radiating hues beyond the visual spectrum. Every day our people push the boundaries of imagination to conceive new and striking designs, like... Pause chant. These. But there are limits to what a single individual can shape with their abilities alone. Those who harbor greater ambitions may offer their concepts to others here, but they might, with the strength of many, accomplish what one cannot. Yeah, the power of collectivism. Sharing ideas, rather than hoarding them to yourself, like a narcissist. Not all concepts are approved for wider distribution, of course. Dangerous, subversive creations pose a risk to everyone, and so it is only after a comprehensive evaluation, after a concept is judged to further the greater good, that we permit it to be shared with the community. That's a very important point there. So instead of just letting people create whatever the hell they want, it goes through a rigorous approval process to make sure they're not making something dangerous that's going to threaten everyone. That's a very good idea. Again, it's a culture that polices itself. It keeps itself in check. Yeah, it's a very good system. I like that. A comprehensive evaluation. Once it's judged that it's for something for the greater good, then they let it be shared, otherwise not. It's just like policing hyper-individualism. A different concept, but it's keeping itself in check. Do you understand, little one? Yeah. Since you are here, I think you might benefit from conversing with some of the others currently availing themselves of our services. Why don't you go and speak with some of the citizens waiting for their registrations to be processed? Much as I would like to believe my explanation was more than sufficient, I expect that you may gain greater insight this way. Properly attuned culture polices itself, or whatever that quote is from that movie. Into reflections, I think. I forgot how Simon says it. Hello, little one. So rare it is to see one of your size roaming about here. Come to learn about the Bureau, are we? I'm here today to register a new creature. Boneless and with semi-translucent skin, it drifts through the air, like a dancer on a summer breeze, its tentacles trailing behind. It utilizes gas bladders to propel itself from place to place, you see. Talking about a jellyfish? I'll admit it's not the most elegant of designs. I'd not shed a tear if it were rejected, quite frankly. But what can I say? I take pleasure in conceiving unorthodox designs. A beginner like you shouldn't take after me, though. If you're looking to pick up a few tips, you should probably ask someone else. Oh, is that my number they just called? If you'll excuse me. Bye. There we go. Are you the child I saw speaking with the attendant earlier? I thought so. So young and already so eager to learn about concepts and creations. That curiosity will serve you well, little one. Lost champ. I've been credited with a few popular concepts, I'm proud to say. I'm hoping that my latest will be equally well received. Autonomous figures. Robots? I say my latest, but really it's the product of many others' efforts and individual insights. But such is the case for every masterwork, I reckon. Basically what I just said earlier. That there's hardly anything that's actually original. Because we're always just building on something somebody else already made before us. We're kind of just improving on it. What is that quote? I think it's a quote by Isaac Newton that sums it up pretty well. He says, I have accomplished what I have, or learned what I have, whatever it was, like his discoveries basically, by standing on the shoulders of giants. Meaning he realizes he never could have made it as far as he did in the discoveries that he made, you know, with mathematics and physics, without all the knowledge that was already found before his time by his ancestors, grandparents, whatever, who had already built up a solid foundation of mathematics and physics before him. AKA, nothing is truly original. You're kind of just adding to sort of collective hive mind of ideas that were there before you were even born, essentially. There's a lot of things that are like this. I can't think of, like, because everything, when you start to go into this, you go into abstraction, of course. There's a lot of abstract examples that I can give, but solid examples, obviously not. And nothing comes to mind right now. But, I guess, if we want to go into an abstract example, you could view it as a solid one as well. Flat screen TVs. Nobody can claim that they, you know, it's an original idea that they invented themselves, regardless of who it was that found the technology to do that. You pretty much just found a way to take something that used to be a box and make it flat. But the whole concept of a television had to be invented before that for you to come up with that. You were just taking that idea and improving upon it. You know, something like that, basically. There's nothing I can really say I've seen that was something truly original, that wasn't just building on something previous. Autonomy notwithstanding, these creations know no fear. They are wholly devoid of emotion and will without hesitation or resistance engage in any dangerous activity, even if death is assured. The fuck? It's also, something else just came to mind as I said that too. Ah, fuck it, left. There's a beauty in that, I think, and I hope the officials do so as well. I tell you, there's nothing more nerve-wracking and thrilling than the waiting period. Oh, I just remembered what it was. That's what makes the whole idea of intellectual property kind of silly when you start thinking of it that way. Because people's like, oh, I invented this. It's like, well, you didn't invent that. You just, you just found out how to improve something that came before. Or you found a new concept by taking an old one and reworking it. Which is 99% of the time what's happening. So the entire idea of patents, copyright, and other intellectual property laws is kind of just faulty at that point. And in the end kind of holds us back from progressing. And you can't really build on something because you're not legally allowed to, because somebody else is claiming ownership of an idea when it's just an idea. Yeah, but again, that's a whole nother discussion for another time. So he said there's a beauty in that, I think. He's talking about the robots he made, I guess, the little figures, right? Yeah, they're devoid of emotion, and even if they're sent to their deaths, they don't care. Yeah, robots, basically, without AI. They just still do what you tell them, regardless. Says, I tell you, there's nothing more nerve-wracking and thrilling than the waiting period before you receive the result. I love it and hate it in equal measure. I think what I like the most about exploring this culture is all the philosophical discussions that you can branch off of with all this. Anyways, that's all I've got to say about it. If you're still keen to learn more, why not pester that worrywart over yonder? Come to think of it, I think their particular creation was designed to appeal to children. Okay, I'll go talk to him. The worrywart? This guy? What's up? You there! An aspiring creator come to learn about the Bureau and its inner workings, I trust? That's all well and good, but since you're here, perhaps you can help me with a little something? I've been refining a concept of mine for some time now, adorable little creatures designed to be the perfect plaything for any young citizen. But I'm still terribly unsure if it's ready to be submitted for approval. Okay. Which is why I was hoping you might first put it through its paces and tell me what you think. Your honest opinion. I'll have no flattery from you, young man. Okay. Matrix will allow you to summon my creations, but don't use it here. Take it outside first, and don't be afraid to play rough. It's all part of the fun. Hey, we get toys. For kids! Which we apparently are. At least in their perception. You can use that matrix I gave you to summon my creations. Bear in mind they're a work in progress, so they might not behave exactly as designed. But I'm sure you'll have a wonderful time regardless. If you'd like to learn more about the Bureau of the Architect and what we have to offer, I suggest you speak with those individuals currently availing themselves of our services. Perhaps one of the citizens waiting for a registration to be processed? So I can sketch anything else now? No, his dialogue now doesn't even reflect the quest progress. It's like he just met you. This is your first time here? Take a number if you haven't already, then settle in for a good long wait. Oh, but that sparked something else in my mind earlier, yeah. This whole approval process for ideas, they have the right concept in mind, they definitely have the right idea, but they don't seem to have conceived of artificial intelligence yet that could probably sift through these ideas and evaluate them based on their usefulness and merit to society a lot quicker than having to go through them manually, as you can see. Very inefficient. That's why they're sitting there waiting forever. You know, if you had like an AI that could just be like, does this work? Does it do with this? Does it benefit society? Yes, no, it could be a hell of a lot faster of an approval process, but instead they're having to approve everything manually. But then that brings up another discussion. Well, if they invented an AI that could do that, it would probably be smart enough to come up with these ideas before anyone else does. And then there would be no reason for anyone to try to come up with anything on their own, because anything they could come up with, the AI system already did come up with on its own. Maybe that's true. But who knows, because we have yet to create an AI that smart, yet. Only a matter of time, probably, in real life, but yeah, it's another interesting, scientific, philosophical discussion to be had there. Oh wait, what does this thing say? A concept matrix. A curious orb that will allow you to harness the power of creation and give form to the concept within. Well, at least he didn't ask us to do it ourselves, because we can't. We're too weak. Friend? Friend! Play with friend! Mischievous playthings. They look like Play-Doh. Which is probably on purpose. Oh shit!
I got poison!
Oh, such fun, such fun! Down I go! Bye-bye! Wow, they tried to murder me, but they were still kind of cute, I guess. Should probably go tell them what happened, though. Hey, your toy tried to kill me. How did you find my lovelies? Were they as delightful and engaging as I hoped? Tell me everything. Spare no details. Faye, they spouted nonsensical phrases and attacked you like mad beasts? How distressing, and not at all like what I intended. My sincerest apologies to you, little one, for the unpleasant experience. Still, from these experiences do we grow stronger and wiser. I look forward to the day when you will try your hand at creation too. That's true, yeah. Success comes from learning from your past failures. Or what's another fancy way that they put it? Failure is just a stepping stone to success, yada yada. You guys know the drill. We've all heard this before and many times in our culture, whether it comes from self-help books or whatever else. Alright, so I'm gonna skip the travel time. Just go to the next video when I'm already there. Debate and discourse. Now we get to actually see some philosophical discussions of the concepts explored in the past two side quest lines we just did. Total coincidence, I did it in this order. I did it like what I think is a perfect order, these three side quests. Not planned. It's just the way it went when I was recording them, so I was happy it turned out the way it did. The loquacious Amaratine wishes to engage you in a battle of wits. Greetings, little one. Come to debate? And at so young an age. How wonderful. Shall we retire to the benches and settle on a topic? Personally, I kind of prefer discussion rather than debate, but some might say it's the same thing. I don't know. There's another philosophical discussion to be had, I guess. Whatever. Oh, my apologies for jumping to conclusions. My friends are not quite as fond of the Hall of Rhetoric as I am, so I have a habit of chatting up any potential conversation partners. So if you're not here to debate, I presume you are here to learn about the mysterious and esoteric goings-on here? It would be my pleasure to act as your tutor in these matters if you will indulge me. The Hall of Rhetoric is, as its name indicates, a place where citizens may freely gather to discuss and debate all manner of topics. This central forum is ideal for open discourse, but smaller rooms are available for those desiring more intimate conversation. Oh, and there is a wealth of reading material concerning rhetorical techniques and history penned by the greatest minds on offer as well, should you wish to refine your techniques through self-study. Okay. To my mind, however, rhetoric is a living, breathing thing that is best experienced in the moment of conception and execution. Perhaps a demonstration would best serve to further your education. Sure. I saw a contemporary of mine engaged in a lively debate earlier just outside the hall. Excuse me. Go and see if they are still there, and issue to them my personal invitation to a friendly battle of wits. As our verbal fisticuffs proceed, perhaps there will be an opportunity for you to join the discourse as well. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Sure, I guess. Problem is, in our society in real life in modern day, nobody can really debate as he's talking. Most debates always inevitably just fall apart into straight up arguments and then slandering each other. Nobody can actually have any kind of mature debate, which is again why I personally would prefer to just call it a discussion rather than a debate, because the minute you call it a debate, you're already making it a competition in a way. And then, again, at least in our modern day culture, that usually immediately locks people into whatever viewpoint they already have, and then sort of making it a part of their identity. It's their team, like their football team or something, and now they're just going to defend it to the bitter end at all costs, and completely shut out any information from the other person or other people that might threaten that idea because they want to win. It's no longer about learning something new, it's about winning. That's what debates in today's culture turn into. They just evolve into arguments that become defending my viewpoint over everybody else's and saying, fuck what everyone else says, rather than a learning, what they're supposed to be, as they're calling it. It's supposed to be a learning thing where you get exposed and to other people's ideas, and you remain open-minded to them to the point where you're willing to reevaluate your own ideas. But again, in modern day culture, this is impossible, and social media only compounded and made it worse. We all have that, there's that stereotype, avoid Twitter, because that's exactly what it is. It's just people screaming at each other, setting their views, and even more so once they start screaming at each other and yada yada because they just want to win the argument, yada, and so on and so forth. This kind of discussion just rarely ever happens, especially on the internet. It's more likely to happen in person. I feel like looking at the text that somebody wrote on the internet ahead of time, it already dehumanizes them. It's almost like your mind subconsciously doesn't even see that as a person saying those things. Whereas when you have a discussion in person or through voice chat and even through webcam, or even better in person, there's a chance for things not to go that bad right away. Why? Dynamics of, social interaction, whatever, I couldn't tell you exactly why. But yeah, it's like having that human element, being able to see and hear the other person, can sometimes be enough of a deterrent from letting things fall apart like that. But on the internet, when you're just seeing a wall of text on your screen, it's like, fuck this wall of text, and then you respond with your own, and then it just turns into a fucking screaming match over the internet, which is Twitter, modern day Twitter. Anyway, back to this. I say we're walking in on a conversation halfway through, right? We didn't miss anything? But that is precisely my point, that their obsession with this so-called mandate to approve only the most beneficial concepts for wider distribution, never mind the ridiculous subjectivity of their criteria, has led the Bureau of the Architect astray from its original purpose. That's something that adds to my point earlier. An AI wouldn't have a subjective criteria. But it probably would, because, you know, it's going to do whatever it was programmed to do. Which is based on its creator, right? And the people who maintain it. So I guess you could argue it would still be subjective. That's what makes AI dangerous. The interpretation. You really have to be careful what you're going to program it to do, because if it does it too well, it could end up leading to disastrous results you didn't foresee. Anyway, I won't go back to rambling about that, though. Again, that's a discussion for another topic. Right now they're talking about their manual reviews of their ideas and concepts. From what I gather from what he just said, I think he's saying that it basically stifles, Let me read it again. Yeah, so I think where he's going with this is probably that it stifles creativity in a way, because they're only allowing the most beneficial concepts to go through. Which again, that's probably too rigorous. As long as something isn't harmful, even if the benefit is not optimal, I don't see why not allow it to be distributed, you know? Like, what if somebody just has an idea for a fancy new hat that provides a little bit, albeit minimal, benefit for protecting your head from the rain or something? Just because it isn't optimal, should it not be allowed to go through? I guess that's what they're discussing. Huh? Have you business with me, child? Regardless, I am in the middle of a heated discussion with my partner. Come back later. Alright, close the fuck off, basically, in a very nice, polite way. No. My position has nothing to do with the intrinsic value of unique identity and whether or not it is retained. Rather, I posit that the reproductions of a given concept are inherently imperfect, and thus they are themselves unique, albeit in minor but significant degrees, and so I say even with mass production. And most importantly, this variance is not to be condemned, but celebrated. Better that than to strive in vain for an impossible standard that, even if met, would leave us lesser for lack of diversity. Thank you. He's basically making the point I was saying earlier, like, you don't want hyper-individualism, but you also don't want such hyper-collectivism that you end up with no diversity whatsoever in your culture. It's like, it's too far in the other direction. So he's obviously arguing that point. In his, from his standpoint though, it's talking mostly about the, evaluation of creations rather than, clothing per se, but it's still, you can see clothing, this basically falls into that though, since they make their own clothes through their creation magics. That's how they made their robes, as we learned from the previous quest. The Amaritine appears to be engrossed in their debate, utterly deaf to you and your pleas for attention. Okay, let me talk to him again. My, aren't you a stubborn little bugger? It's strangely endearing, I must admit, but we have all the time in the world. Why are you so insistent that I speak with you this very instant? That's true, they live forever, or almost forever. Their lifespans were nigh eternal, the event itself said. Ah, you are acquainted with that chatterbox? I suppose I do owe them a debate or two, and now is as good an occasion as any. So be it. I guess he's gonna leave the two hanging. We'll keep talking later, I guess. We saw two people debating over there too. I did that on stream though, with the little chat bubble that came up, where they were talking about this latest calamity. That's where I started questioning. I was like, how many calamities did they experience? They said the latest calamity, affecting our friends across the pond. That's what made me start questioning how it all started, why it all went downhill. So, you're to be an observer? No, that will not do. You must be an active participant. You must engage in the discourse. Only by doing will you learn and grow, little one. This is true. A more hands-on approach usually is more conducive to learning more. Good. I see you found my friend. Thank you, little one. And without further ado, let us commence the promised debate. After you, gentlemen. Actually, I can't even tell. Gentlemen, ladies? No idea. Again, probably also a subtle but on purpose sort of thing, though. The robes don't distinguish them, whether they're male, female, or whatever, and that helps to keep them on an equal level. That's the benefits of everybody wearing the same thing. Yeah, there's nuance to everything. Again, balance, not too far in one direction or the other. As to the matter of what subject we shall debate today, I propose the recent calamity which has befallen our friends across the pond. What say you? Just like the two people outside? Just down the street? The singular point of contention is, of course, whether or not Amarat should intervene on their behalf. Isn't this just like that discussion? I believe we should, pardon me. The scale of the disaster which threatens that distant metropolis is of a scale heretofore unseen, and so equally considerable resources must be committed to counteracting its effects. I disagree. The scale concerns me less than the nature of the proposition itself. Who are we to unilaterally intervene in the affairs of those half a world away? Are we to be the saviors of one and all? Such arrogance may well lead to our own downfall. This is also true. It does, there is a blurry line there. You go too far, same thing, you go too far in one direction or the other and you just look like an asshole. You know, you try to save the whole world, eventually you start to look like an empire that's just trying to take over everything in the name of saving the world. You don't do anything, then you look like an apathetic nation or country that, you know, only cares about itself. And that's also frowned upon. That will also be frowned upon as well, so it's like, you know, balance. While I understand your concerns from a philosophical standpoint, I fear you are too quick to dismiss practical considerations out of a desire to maintain an unassailable moral authority. Unassailable probably means like unobtainable. I'm guessing. I have to look that one up. But let us, you and I, hold there for the present and offer the floor to our young student. You have heard our young student, yes. And my name is Eternal Student, for now anyway. You have heard our opening salvos in this debate concerning the fate of our neighbors across the sea. What is your opinion on the matter? Well, let's see what kind of answer choices I get. To ignore the plight of those one might conceivably save is not win them as insolence, so straight up Louis Suarez quote, because this is the same exact debate, argument, discussion that Louis Suarez had with his family and friends and, you know, peers, essentially his fellow scholars back in Charlian, when they were trying to talk him out of going to Eorzea to help out with their primal problem and the Empire's invasion and all that stuff. He basically said this and then told him to fuck off and went to Eorzea anyway. And then the rest is history, as we've seen in The Realm Reborn and everything, with the Bahamut raids and all that. The other answer is, we cannot save everyone. Sometimes it is all we can do to save ourselves. And honestly, that's equally valid. I was torn here. I was like, shit, these are both true. It just goes back to what I was saying, balance in all things. It's like, if you're in a position where you can save others without taking, like, say, an overt, unnecessary risk to yourself or your own people, yeah, the top one is true. If you're in a situation where you're trying to help, but you reach a point where you might have to either sacrifice yourselves or a bunch of other people to save someone, or another group of people, that's when you start to realize no matter how hard you try, you can't save everyone. And the closest example of this I can think of is what we saw in the flashback towards the end of Shadowbringers. It was last stream, or no, 2 streams ago. What we saw in the flashback where Grahatia told Urianger everything that he was planning to do, right? He said, don't tell everyone else, because then they're going to try to stop me. And in trying to save one, that is me, Grahatia, talking about himself, said, if you're trying to save one, you'll end up saving none. That's a perfect example of how you can't save everyone sometimes. He's like, because basically he's like, if you don't let me go and make my sacrifice, taking the light from the Light Wardens away from here and all that, you'll doom everyone, including me. I'll still die, but then everyone else will too. So you have to let me die, basically. Of course, thanks to what Emmet Selk did, well, that didn't happen anymore. Thanks to Emmet Selk's intervention, oddly, he basically saved everybody by doing that. But it was a combination of what Emmet Self did and then Aardbert fusing with us, the player, and then that subduing the trapped light within us and fixing our soul. But assuming none of that had happened, that would have been true. If in trying to save Grahatia, everyone else would have died. So yeah, because of all this, I was torn between which one to pick, so I went ahead and just went with Louis Swallowscope. If we're in a position to help, without causing too much unnecessary risk to ourselves, why not? To ignore the plight of those one might conceivably save is not wisdom, it is indolence. Let's see how he responds to this. Indeed, indeed. The same can be said regardless of one's opinion on the morality of intervention. There is a clear and undeniable benefit to Amaroth in using this situation as a testbed for our newest creations, that we might develop and refine our defenses against a potential threat to our own fair city. That sounds like a very weird response. Let me read that again real quick. But he just says, regardless of one's opinion on the morality of intervention. He kind of just disregarded what I just said. Like, he acknowledges it, but then he says, regardless of that, and then he adds his own reason for why he wants to intervene, which is the benefit of the self-interest. Using it as a situation as a testbed for their newest creations. So his standpoint already comes from a more selfish view, where it's like, it gives us an excuse to try out, like, basically new weapons we've been for the greater good, for saving our neighbors. That we might refine and develop our defenses against the potential. And this is not entirely without its own merit, that's true, because it's like whatever's happening over there might actually come and affect us too. So despite how selfish his viewpoint sounds already, there's still some merit to it. I can't deny that either. It says, how readily you cede the moral high ground. Was not our young friend's point that we have an ethical obligation to aid those in need? Yet not only do you instead elect to focus on the benefit to Amaroth alone, but you also deprive our distant neighbors of the agency to determine their own fate. This is a very intense discussion, I like it. You misunderstand me. What benefits Amaroth benefits all creation. I firmly believe, for the knowledge and wisdom we stand to gain from intervention can then be shared with others, empowering everyone to more effectively surmount similar trials in the future. There we go. He just redeemed himself. That's actually a very good point. That's a very good thing to do. As long as you're willing to share what you've learned, then yeah, I don't see the harm in testing out your new creations in the defense of another, one of your neighbors. Sure. The key point there is willing to share the knowledge. That's kind of what all this eventually kind of comes back to. It's we should strive to share knowledge openly and freely rather than hoarding it. Hoarding ideas, creating patent laws and copyright laws and all that stuff like I was saying earlier. We could make a lot more progress if we shared ideas openly rather than, claiming individual ownership for them or competing. Oh, how much faster could we have gotten a vaccine for COVID than what we did, because companies were competing with each other to try and outdo each other rather than sharing their individual ideas and discoveries. Probably could have made a more optimized vaccine like 10 times faster. That kind of thing. I must say, it has been far too long since I engaged in such a refreshing exchange of ideas. My colleague was equally delighted by the opportunity, you may be assured. Sure he was, and I kind of liked watching it too. It is obviously my bread and butter when it comes to things like this, these kinds of discussions. That's why we've already been an hour into streaming. We're barely finishing up this third Ether Current quest. Some decry it as little more than an academic exercise. After all, we failed to reach a meaningful consensus, but I dare say they missed the forest for the trees. Are we not more enlightened by the experience? Have we not been exposed to a greater variety of viewpoints? Is there not value in this alone? I think so, yeah. I can agree with that. I truly believe we are blessed to be part of a society that exalts the free exchange of ideas and that encourages active participation in the public discourse. Yeah, I think that would be a much better society. Instead, what we have now is people trying to do that, using the internet to do just that, and then getting shut down by people who disagree with them, even if only slightly, and then getting called all sorts of names across the internet and told to fuck off. That's what we have now instead of this. This may have been no more than your first foray into the exciting world of rhetoric, but I sense you have the soul of a debater in you. You may well have the potential to change Amarant in ways no one ever thought possible. I shall be watching your trajectory with great interest, my young friend. Oi. Trying to read too fast. Dude, I talked myself out. Holy shit. What can I say? There was a lot to commentate on here. That's why I decided to record this, because I knew from my first playthrough that there was a lot explored here with these little side quests, which we weren't able to see in the MSQ through New Game Plus, of course. But there was a lot explored here that I really liked and wanted to commentate on. I have high expectations for you, my little debater. If you ever wish to hone your skills with a spirited conversation or two, I would be overjoyed to engage you. That was the last Ether Current too. Earn the achievement Free Bird for the Tempest and Frequent Flyer 3. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I just do some stupid little victory pills. But yeah, that's I mean, not much more to say than what I already have, right? This was a very cool little series of 3 side quests for Ether Currents here that it's very thought-provoking. It's something that provokes a lot of philosophical discussion and thought, I guess, yeah. It's very thought-provoking. In that sense. There was another word I was going to use, that's why I kind of stumbled over myself. I was like, it left my head. Yeah, lots to think about. I like it. It's probably my favorite part of this whole area, basically, besides the MSQ, coming here to rescue Grahatia from Emmet Selk and all that. This is my other favorite part. Learning about Amarant's culture from way back then, seeing it play out like this, and then all of the critical thinking and philosophical debate or discussion, whatever you want to call it, that it provokes in the player's mind, you know, if you're actually paying attention and you care about it, this sort of stuff. For most people, of course, it's any kind of philosophical discussion or thought-provoking things like this can just be considered mental masturbation. And yeah, that's not wrong either. At some point you have to take action based on the knowledge you take or whatever, or that you learn for it to mean anything, right? Otherwise you're just kind of just flapping your jaw, your lips or whatever, and yada yada. But it's all got to start somewhere, and this is pretty much where it starts. Discussing ideas, philosophical or otherwise, and realizing that there is no black and white, as I've always said. There are no absolutes. We live in a world that's filled with shades of gray. And that's the first step to keeping an open mind. That's the first step towards progress, I think. It's just it all kind of compounds on itself. Whew! Anyway. Now we're done with the Ether Current quest I wanted to show. Again, a lot could be discussed about this. And maybe one day when I replay this... yeah, maybe one day when I replay this, we'll revisit all this. You know, like probably on an alternate character or something, and when I actually have chat active rather than emote only. And there's anybody interested in talking about these things, that'd be pretty cool to revisit someday. Because I will replay the story eventually. Just like how I always replay other video games that I really like a lot, like, you know, the Resident Evil franchise, Final Fantasy, whatever. Other Final Fantasy games. I don't think I'll be no, I can guarantee I will never do a marathon like this again, though. Where I go through the entire franchise? No. If anything, I'll just go back to replay my favorites, like Final Fantasy 7, 8, 10, maybe. 9, still can't really get into it. Maybe 12 as well. Things like that. But in a marathon fashion, playing all the games again? No. That's not gonna happen. But yeah. So that takes care of that. I think there was some miscellaneous stuff I wanted to... Yeah, so moving on to a different subject. Something a little bit less resident sleeper for most people, I think. Because I know I'm in a minority. When I like talking about all this stuff. Thancred sucks at tanking. And I have a video clip to show it. This happened shortly after this. I can't blame him. The AI just wasn't built for this kind of situation, but like, let me see where it happened.
Just as prayer.
So I did this as a Reaper, and it was like way harder than a tank, and not just because I take more damage, but this wasn't it. I think it's the clip. If not, I obviously did not take a big enough clip. Shit. So I'm gonna see if I can find another example here. There's certain enemies that as soon as they spawn, they have a tether. Like we've seen this in the dungeon before. There it is. There's an example. See that Terminus Roiler? It's going straight for Alfino. Thancred's programmed to grab all the mobs and then go stand in a specific point and then keep tanking them there. See how he ran off over there? He completely ignores the fact that that enemy ignores the tank's aggro. The ideal thing here would be for him to be standing there and bring the other enemies to that one that will refuse to attack anyone else except Alfino. Or you could say Alfino sucks for not moving over to where Thancred is and bringing the enemy to him as well. But just something funny I kind of wanted. I was just like, you mother... Because look, I had to spend all that time saving Alfino, and then I was finally able to change my attention to attacking the other enemies. I was just like... This is definitely a dungeon where if you're going to do it with duty support with other, with the other NPCs, you're better off doing it as a tank. So you can control that kind of thing. So yeah, you could say it's Thancred's fault or Alfino's fault, but at the end of the day, it's artificial intelligence. It's just, an oversight at the end of the day. It's not their characters. It's just the faulty programming that they haven't really fixed, and they probably won't, because it's just this one dungeon that has enemies that do that, really. I don't think I know of it. There's probably, maybe there's a few others that do it too, but it's rare. So it's really not a huge issue. Just something funny I thought I would, As for this, during the boss fight, I think there was a funny moment that happened in this. Let me skip to it. I think Alize died, and it was my fault. Because I couldn't read the minds of my AI partners, obviously, and I took one of the markers to a less than ideal spot and almost got everybody killed. Let me just skip to that part. We've already seen this fight. So yeah, here it was fine. The first time, because I was like, where are they going? And then I followed their lead. And I was like, okay, we're spread out evenly. All good. Obviously we go to the center, which is probably the best spot, considering how they spread them out. We're okay. And then we go hide behind a rock. And we're all good. The second time this happened is where everything went to shit, because I didn't go fast enough to spread out. So I got Alize killed. Here it is, here it is, here it is. They have lines for this too. Like voice, see, I took way too long. I was like, no, 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 no. I was like, oh no, we're all gonna die. I saved myself with arcane press right there, barely. And then, yeah, Alize just died. To be fair though, she kind of died because they didn't spread out there. Like, I don't know what they were doing. Right here. But still, her health was already kind of low because I didn't spread out the previous one. She's like, I can still fight! Collapses. How did she get revived? That happened soon, but it's probably after these encounters play out. At this point I was thinking to myself, holy shit, this is easy as you think. Nobody died on me last time. There we go. Alfino swift casted Resurrection on Alize. Got her back up.
Let's give them a show.
And this first thing she does, LB, because why not? I was like, okay, good. I was wondering if Alfino was going to resurrect her or not. There was another key moment that made me... That wasn't really a funny moment, it was just kind of an oh shit moment, like, I can't believe I did that. It's coming up right now, actually. She almost died again, but she's fine. Yeah, here we go. During Final Sky, I didn't know what to do here. I panicked. But somehow I survived. See, I was like, wait, but that's scaring me. They just tanked it. Like, did they? How much damage did they even take from that? They just stood in it. Look. Tanker barely took any. They seem to be fine. I mean, does it not hurt you if you're behind the rock? All I know is if I didn't have that teleportation skill, I would not have made it back to that rock in time. I would have died right there. I was like, shit, that was some Reaper privilege. Anyway, that's all. Just one last little funny moment. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Give me 1 second. Oh, that is the end of the video list. Then yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright, fuck this. Let's get back to the game. Oh, and I'm remembering this time. Hold on. I'll lower the volume. I won't blast everyone. God damn it! I forget music plays in the fucking PlayStation menu. Well, at least I lowered it quickly. There we go. I was like, hold on, I'll lower it before the music blasts. Boom! It just goes. When you hover over the icon, it starts playing that prelude. Anyway, apologize for that if I wasn't fast enough at lowering the volume. Again, I'll never understand why recordings, the PlayStation recordings, are like half the volume of the actual in-game audio, but it is what it is. Whew! Moving on then. So, what's next? Oh yes, the bonus dungeons. We can actually finally get to those now. We can actually get to the proper post-game content besides the job quest we already did. So let me close this and this for now. Cool. Let's get in there. Yeah. While we sit in queue, I gotta look something up real quick. They're probably the same, but I'll check anyway. Ooh! Okay. I'm just trying to see which one we should do first. Basically, of the 2 bonus dungeons. Because yeah, there's only 2 now. Oh, they're the same. We can do them in any order then. Okay. So they were both released with 5.0. The only 2 bonus dungeons we got. The rest of the dungeons that were added in the post-game, you know, with 5.1 and so forth, and the patch content that came after, were all MSQ, basically. I don't think there's any for the Trials or normal raids anymore. Well, there was never any for those, but the Trial series doesn't have any dungeons like Stormbloods did. As far as I know. Yeah, they don't. Bigger variety of content, like I said before. Okay, the first one is available right here, actually. By the time you hear this... Dun, dun, dun. Oh yeah. We're in the post-game now. I can go back to my freeform clan. Hell yeah. Fuck, do I have enough tomestones to upgrade this? Tell him, Snoop. I'm 96 short of getting a better scythe. A proper level 81. By the time you hear this, the fauna of the Crystarian Guard has a look of grim determination. requests. Excuse me, a word if you would be so kind. Why yes, milady. We of the Crystarium Guard have a request to make of you. What's up? Our researchers are planning to enter the Crystal Tower to learn more of its history. However, there is a problem. Now, what I am about to reveal is strictly confidential. Were word to get out, panic would spread throughout the citizenry. Our scouts have reported that ferocious beasts and bizarre machines roam the hallways. Until we can eliminate these threats, none may enter. Strange ethereal readings have also been detected, and we suspect that the phenomena are linked. The Exarch has ordered us to seek your aid in making the tower safe for our researchers to go about their work. He mentioned that you are better equipped than most to face the dangers that lurk in the tower, though he elected not to go into detail. Is this true? Yeah. I'm glad he has confidence in me and he spoke for me. But yeah, it's true, yeah. Probably. Maybe. Then your prior experience may prove beneficial. Come, let us proceed to the entrance. Alright. Lead the way, lady. The blue quest mark over here is just, something about sky watching, the weather, I think? It's just a quick one and done thing. I bet I could do that. What? How long were you standing there in silence? Don't you know it's rude to... Wait, aren't you that mortal bonded to Fea Wolf? Oh no, isn't this a pleasant surprise? I have a proposal I was meaning to put to you as it happens. Interested? Sure. What's up? So these Skywatchers you see all over, this chick here, they're good at what they do, but even they can't tell you if it's raining or whatever back on the source, no? That's true because they're here, not in the source. But with my help, they could. Aye, I could cross the rift, see what the weather's like for myself, come back, and share my knowledge with these mortals by whispering to them in their dreams. I could do the same for the Skywatchers on the other side, too. Everyone would have all the answers, and they wouldn't even know how they got them. Wahahaha! Wouldn't that be grand? This is basically an excuse for consolidating the weather NPCs, so that they can show you the weather everywhere, no matter if you're in the source or in the first. Your silence is all the approval I need. Off I go! Due to Lord Feo meddling with the dreams of Skywatchers in the source and the first, Skywatchers may now provide forecasts for every region regardless of their location. Like this. A wise woman once said that she who does not pay heed to the skies will most surely get wet. Sound advice if you ask me. Would you like to hear what the skies tell us this fine day? There you go. Places she shouldn't even know exist. But all thanks to, the pixie we just talked to. Anyway. Back to the quest we were doing. I take it your preparations are complete? Mm-hmm. Listen carefully. You are to lead a party of elite troops into the tower and respond to any hostility with lethal force. Once the way is clear, the researchers can begin their expedition. Okay? Our main objective is to identify the source of the ethereal disturbance. The tower cannot be considered safe until we do. Should you encounter any opposition beyond your capabilities, you are to withdraw immediately. I wish you the best of luck. This is one of those dungeons where I wish there was a duty support system for it. Because the mechanics for the final boss are so hard, for me anyway, because I still haven't familiarized myself with them, that I'm probably going to die a couple times. I just don't get it. The mechanics still confuse the hell out of me sometimes. I just never know where to stand to dodge everything. But yeah, because it's an optional dungeon, there is no duty support. You have to do it with other players. Which means we're probably going to sit here and queue for a little bit. But judging by what time it is right now and the fact that it's a Tuesday, weekly reset day for tomestones, this might be quick. A perfect time of day and perfect time of week to do this. The twinning! Since its sudden appearance in Norvant, the Crystal Tower has been a source of great mystery, one which the people of the Crystarium have barely begun to unravel. Now that the city is free from the threat of the Light Wardens, researchers have been afforded the opportunity to explore the innermost reaches of the tower, though they soon found their way barred by hordes of ferocious guardians. An ethereal disturbance detected from inside is believed to be in some way linked to their appearance, and you've been tasked with not only clearing a path for the researchers, but with investigating the cause of the anomaly. Let's do it. 13 fucking minutes. Time to start thinking about whether I should do this as a tank just to queue faster. Thought I could. But again, what makes me nervous is the mechanics at the end. The final boss is, I can't stay alive during that. The healer's gonna have to work overtime to keep everyone alive. Shit. Fuck it, I'll take the risk so we don't have to sit here too long. If I wasn't streaming, sure, I'd wait. But because I don't want my streams to turn into hours of queue time, I'll go with at least a tank that I'm more familiar with in Dark Knight. So I'll have to change blinds again. Let's see. There it is. Voila. Keep the shades on for style points. And fuck it. There, we cut the queue time in half. From 13 minutes to 6. Fuck it. Well, at least I can catch my breath because I've been yapping my ass off for the past hour and a half. Now we have wait time music. Because why not? Alright, fuck this. It is Tuesday, right? I'm not crazy. Okay, yeah. So yeah, we're very likely to get faster queues than any other day of the week because people are doing their dailies and weeklies. But who knows, I could be wrong, it could be the opposite. I don't know. Hopefully I'm right and we'll not have to wait too long for the raids either, when we get to those after this. I like how Bethana's just staring at me, sitting on the ground. Unfortunately, we have only limited information regarding the inner reaches of the tower. The scouts who were able to escape with their lives were in many cases rendered insensible. What the fuck happened to them? Jesus. Anyway. Probably get up as... I gotta take my breaks when I can, so I don't get tired of sitting down. So, I'm gonna get up while we wait for the queue. Probably shouldn't be too much longer anyway. We'll see. Down, 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 down. It's almost like elevator music.
Emotional damage. surprise, motherfucker. It's rewind time.
Better time to test out sound clips, make sure they're working right. New ones, I guess. Damn, good thing I chose to queue up as a tank. It's still gonna be a while. Waiting on a healer. It's part of the sound clip. That little glitch right there. It's not my PC fucking up. That always happens towards the end of the clip. It's this music. The YouTube video I got it from. I don't know why it does that. Your search info has been updated. Yeah, no shit. Auto AFK after 5 minutes is what I have it set for, so. Should also be expected that optional dungeons tend to have longer queue times because they're optional. MSQ dungeons will always have shorter queue times because they're mandatory, obviously. Everyone has it unlocked. If you don't have something unlocked, you'll never get into it through Duty Roulette. So, we're basically waiting on the small niche of people that actually do bother to unlock optional content like this to queue up for a Duty Roulette or this dungeon itself. That's why it's taken a while. Two DPS has already dropped out. It's just us again. Holy shit! Right as I fucking, right as I got up too. Nice. Great timing. Alright, let's get into it, shall we? Bring my webcam back. Oh, I'm on Ether right now, Crimson. Next week, yeah, that would have helped. Because you could actually data center travel after next week's patch, but... Because I can't do these quest lines New Game Plus, you know, there's no New Game Plus for it, so... I have to do it on the alternate version of this character. Thanks for the offer, though. I appreciate that. Hey, doesn't that look familiar? Another FF13 crossover. Almost. Also, this music is banging! What did this person say? BGM 100? Of course, yeah, they would say that. Here, let's go. Yeah, they literally took one of the behemoths from FF13. Now I know they're from FF13, these designs. They might have appeared during the crossover event, way back then, when they had the FF13 and 14 crossover event, so they probably just took those and modified them a little for this dungeon. That's my guess. I don't actually know, but... Whew! Finally. Get the hell out of here. I think there's quite a bit of lore in this dungeon. Obviously, to be respectful of everybody's time, I'll go back and look at it later, once we're done. I just have to remember to do it before leaving the dungeon, otherwise we have to do it again. Fuck that. Go, assholes. I'm a little rusty with Gunbreaker, but I still think I'm doing a little bit better than I do with Dark Knight. God, there's no AoE marker for that attack. Bastard. I think we all got hit by that. Here it comes again. Diagonal. So warranted. Might as well take advantage of this. Oh, okay, so that's his tank buster? Alright. Hey, just like the ones from FF13. Takes off his horn, makes it a sword, and one goes at it. I don't want to aim those at the stasis pods on the side. I do remember that much. Another one. My muscle memory is still a bit off from playing Dark Knight for so long now. Whew. I'm hanging in there. I don't know how the samurai died, but... Die already! Jesus! Holy shit! Whoa! This is kinda cool. Reminds me of like a modern 3D Sonic game. That's lore we'll have to read later. My position, is that what it was, Crimson? I wasn't watching him, I was focused on myself, so... He was trying to nail his positionals and he ended up getting killed for it, huh? Damn. A curse. Play spam True North as a Reaper, so I don't have to worry about that shit so much. There we go. Whew. Oh, you got one-shotted? Not that button. Thank God I wasn't targeting a party member. Jesus Christ. Oh, I haven't switched that. I haven't switched those buttons around. Oh wait, no, I intentionally have to like that, yeah. I used to have Super Belite on there. That would have been really bad. That's why I switched it with Shirt. No. I don't need this. Not really. I don't remember shit about this boss. I don't know what to do. Okay. I was like, I'll be honest, I have no idea what to do. Oh my god. I saw the samurai's health plummet. I was like, oh no, not again. You're gonna take this one with me, huh? Yeah, that didn't end well. Holy shit. Oh, okay. I was finally able to catch up with what you said. Are we underwater and there's some green floor? What is this shit? Holy shit. This place is crazy. Oh, that's it. Alright. There's a pseudo Sid Garland Ironworks logo. The Thermocoil Boil Buster. This is an upgrade from that fucking tea kettle that Biggs and Wedge made. Speaking of upgrades. Crystal Tower. Oh, images from it. Artificial Enigma, the Tycoon. It's like a mini... That's like Alexander Prime, about the same size, but made by Sid Garland's Ironworks, I'm guessing? Again, the logo's not quite the same though. This is where I fuck up and get all of us killed. Because I have no idea how to dodge a lot of mechanics in this one. That's this shit right here. It starts off simple enough. But in a minute, it's about to get way worse. Also, he takes up so much space on the goddamn screen, it's hard to see shit. Excuse me. Temporal stasis? That's gonna hit me. See, I didn't even see that was charging up in the background. I heard it from the text, but I didn't see it. So I was like, what? I was basically like... Oh, I used that too early, didn't I? I can't see shit. I'm using this. I'm hoping for the best. God, too early? Too early. My God. He did a little... He did a little pirouette. I still got hit by something. Damn this asshole. What? I'm doing this. Okay, somehow I didn't get hit. And my team's still alive. Thank God. I don't think that does anything. I don't think he uses magic. Per se. No, not again. Fucking hell. This guy's such an asshole. Freaks me out. Saw somebody level up.
Dylan!
The legacy of our friends from an alternate future, huh? Quite obvious what this is. Alright. Now, let's not leave right away yet. I am gonna turn off the fucking music because it's gonna get annoying. There. Go back and see what we missed about this place. Remember when we did this back at the, that Post-Heavensward dungeon? Or Stormblood, I think it was. I can't remember. Yeah, it was Stormblood. What was it called? It was a hard mode version of that one in Ozzy Slaw. There. first of all, I mean, look at this shit. The entrance of the Crystal Tower, as we all remember it, from the Alliance raid, but there's a bunch of shit here. I don't know if these are meant to be things like supplies that they moved in afterwards, or it was before the Crystal Tower was teleported, but maybe we'll find out in a minute. As of now, we just know it's from an alternate future that now never came, thanks to Grahatia's efforts. So we get to explore a new section of the Crystal Tower that we weren't able to see before. The basement. I think there's only like 2 notes, so this shouldn't take too long. Unless we stop to take in the sights like this. Okay, so there's nothing here. It's the first time I've ever done this fight without breaking any stasis tubes, or, you know, those orbs. The underworld. Oh. Repurposement. Look at that light little lightning. Okay, here's the first one. Ironworks Datalog 2.5. What have we got? Our only hope lies in the Crystal Tower, though it did not yield its secrets easily. Even opening the doors was a monumental undertaking. Without the Founder's datalogs and the NOAA reports left by the Sons of St. Poinok, hey, that's us! You remember that? We would never have stood a chance of succeeding. Wow. Another reason why Crystal Tower Raid Series is now mandatory in Level 1. None of us were prepared for the spectacle that awaited us when we first stepped into the tower. To be surrounded by the marvels of a lost age took our breath away. And there, at its center, we found it. I was hoping they'd go into detail about how they figured out to finally open the doors. I mean, Sid did promise Grahatiya he'd find a way, right? And once they did, by way of doing that, they would prove that they were not ready for the secrets of the Crystal Tower. And of technology, I suppose. Ironworks Datalog 3.5. Our research into the Emperor's throne is almost complete, as we now understand the methods used to open a doorway to the world of darkness. Okay. Otherwise known as the 13th. Right, the void. 13th reflection. However, this is only the beginning of our plan. Even if we find a way to the first, it is already too late to prevent the 8th Umbral Calamity. It already happened. For them. For that, we must travel not only to another world, but to another time. Thankfully, the datalogs gathered over the years, detailing battles with various primals, pointed us in the right direction. Okay. Say that again? I see where they're going now with this. They're talking about Alexander, because Alexander had the power of time travel. That already explains the boss we fought then. They literally recreated Alexander as a way to test time travel. Holy shit. Because, you know, that was their only hope for preventing the calamity that already happened. Just as we thought the pieces were in place, we came to the realization that traversing time and space has its difficulties. It is one thing to possess the technology necessary to enable such a feat, quite another to actually perform it. Yeah, that makes sense. The interdimensional rift, as it was called in the Founders' data logs. Oh, okay, so they used concepts they learned from the Omega stuff, too. Yeah, the interdimensional rift was something Omega created when he was testing his experiments on us during that raid series. So the interdimensional rift, as it was called in the Founders' data logs, is what I can only describe as infinite chaos. Kind of what it looked like, yeah. To navigate it would take expertise far beyond our ken. There was, however, once a being capable of exactly that, the one known as Omega. And yet, despite all of the research carried out, the mystery of how it was able to cross the rift remains unsolved. Damn, they still weren't able to figure that out, huh? Like I said, I really hope that one day there's a story arc involving, maybe even if we can't visit Omega's home planet, somehow find a way to meet its creators, you know? That'd be pretty cool. I think that was it, right? I don't think there was any more data logs from here to the end. I didn't see any. They had to take everything they could learn from both Omega and Alexander just to do this shit. We saved ourselves by gathering knowledge for the future, by doing those, all three of those raid series, right? The Crystal Tower, Alexander, Omega. If Sid hadn't been involved with all three of those, they never would have had the foundation for this and time travel. And sending the Crystal Tower into the past. And moving it over to the first at the same fucking time. Because it was in the source. Question remains, though, how long did it take for them to figure it out? We know it's from the future, but how far into the future? So that's a very different Ironworks logo, too. It's not the flaming wheel that we have in our current time. Probably a nice little nod to the butterfly effect. One tiny thing can change everything. For whatever reason, in this parallel universe, their logo's different. But everything else turned out the same. Sid, the Warrior of Light, all that still happened. Alright, Bethana. We're back. Excellent work. Not only did you reveal the cause of the ethereal fluctuations, you were able to remove the threat entirely. Thanks to you, the researchers have already completed their preliminary observations. Their findings were somewhat surprising. What's up? The Crystal Tower appears not to have been created by the Ronkins or any other known civilization. Its origins are veiled in mystery, much like the Exarch and yourself. Right. I forgot, not everybody else is here is on the same page as us. Forgive me, it is not the time for idle speculation. We have, however, recovered an artifact, though its purpose is unclear. It may even be purely decorative. Alright, let me take a look. Have you encountered anything like this? Yeah, actually. Where Omega left his last messages for us and when we unlocked the Savage content for the Omega raids. I'm pretty familiar with this. Beep, beep, beep. That's what it does, it holds messages and data logs. Bzzzt. Has come to carry out our plan. This will be my last recording. With the tower activated and the temporal displacement apparatus online, all that remains is to throw the switch. And pray. I'm sorry. I truly am. I wish there was another way. But you are our best chance of success. Our only hope. Your gift will allow you to become one with the tower and survive the journey through time and space. Where our technology is advanced as that of the Alogans, perhaps we could have gone with you. Alas, it was not meant to be, or it was not to be. But when you are finally reunited, all of the hardship, all of the sacrifice will have been worth it, I'm sure. Just promise me you'll spare a thought for those you leave behind. And we'll be thinking of you too. For as long as this world lasts, though I fear it will not be for much longer. I said, we'll be thinking of you too for as long as this world lasts, though I fear it will not be for much longer. This is Biggs, third of his name, 18th President of Garland Ironworks, signing off. May the 12 be at your side, Grahatia. Person's voice coming from a machine? To be honest, I cannot make head nor tail of it. Do you have any idea what that was about? Yeah, it made perfect sense, actually. You don't have enough information to know why, but I do. Considering your connection to the Exarch, I'm not entirely surprised. The one thing was clear, even to me. The people who left the message were facing a great catastrophe. They placed their faith in the Crystal Tower, in much the same way we have done ever since the Flood of Light. Our prayers for salvation were answered when you and the Exarch returned the night to us, and freed us from the terror of the Sinners. I sense that this was all made possible by those people from a long time forgotten. We should do our utmost to learn more of them. I'd say that's a worthy pursuit. Perhaps the researchers will uncover more of these messages. In any case, you have performed admirably in service of the Crystarium. We may have need of your strength and guidance in days to come. Until then, fare you well. By the time you hear this, that hits pretty hard. Of course the music also enhances it, but it's just... it's pretty obvious, isn't it? Even if you go back in time to change things, it doesn't change your present. It just creates, like Grahatia said earlier, a fork. A crossroads that branches off and makes a parallel universe where that future didn't happen. But all the people who worked to make this a reality, they got left behind. They'll never get to see the fruits of their labor. They'll never know whether Grahati actually succeeded or not. He did, but there's no way to tell him now. It's sad. Jesus. Gets me really emotional just because of, they worked so hard to prevent something that already happened to them, so it wouldn't happen again to another universe. But they'll never reap the benefits of that. I mean, I can't imagine a more selfless sacrifice. Knowing that even if you succeed in what you're doing, your world is still completely doomed, and there's nothing you can do to change it. You're just saving someone else's world, basically. Kinda wish Grahatia was here to listen to this, but I can see why he's not. And that's all I can say. For now. This quest in particular was the entire reason... was the major reason. It was the major reason why I decided, why I decided it would be a good idea to do these side quests and bonus dungeons that you can't do through New Game Plus. This one right here, that had the most impact out of all the bonus dungeons and their quest lines, for obvious reasons. This one ties into MSQ a lot. It wraps up the whole story about, you know, the alternate future timeline and everything. Well, it's as much of a wrap-up as we're gonna get for now, anyway. Needless to say, the whole thing obviously kind of reminds me of Trunks coming back into the past in Dragon Ball Z, you know? Yeah, anyway. Yeah, they explored it's almost like the same fucking story arc. You know, he travels into the past to warn the Z Fighters, as they were called, I guess, about the, you know, the impending threat of the androids. But then him traveling into the past already changed things, so there was a different set of androids, and then Cell, which he never knew about, yada yada. It's a very similar storyline to that. Because then, you know, everything that happens, they defeat the androids, they defeat Cell. Well, 18 becomes, you know, she goes from being a bad guy to a good guy afterwards. And then Trunks goes back to his present time, and yeah, he goes back to his present time, and it's still the way he left it. You know, it's it didn't change his future. He was only able to save, you know, our main characters, their world, from suffering the same horrible apocalyptic future that his suffered. But when he went back to his time, all the people he knew were still gone, dead and gone. It's the same exact concept. Even if Gauhatir were to go back to the future he came from, he would only find the world he left behind before. But that was enough to give them both solace. It's a beautiful time travel storyline, I like it. But anyway, it's been 2 hours and 20 minutes now, thanks to the damn queue time. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut the video here and start the next one after. So I'll put up the BRB screen to do that. I'll take a small break. I won't have to take as long of a break because I already got that 15-minute queue time. I was standing up or lying down, switching between the two. So I'm not actually that tired of sitting down. But I am going to grab a quick snack to eat and go to the restroom. So it might still take me about 5-10 minutes to come back anyway. For those watching live, yeah. BRB.